Our culture lives through stories. These stories, passed from person to person, from generation to generation, create a rich tapestry of our shared human experience. They give us roots in a particular intersection of time and space and help us to understand both the past and the future. The People's Weather Map is, on one level, a platform for sharing weather stories. But our underlying motivation is to facilitate a deep understanding of climate change. Climate is simply weather averaged over time. However, the climate of our past will not be the climate of our future. Most of us here today will bear witness to climate changes of unprecedented scope and speed. It is our hope that the People's Weather Map can help us understand and adapt to these changes.
Many people have difficulty understanding the difference between weather and climate and relating their everyday experience of the weather to climate change. Simply put, weather is what happens in the atmosphere each day, each hour, and each year. Climate is the average temperature, the average rainfall, the average sunshine in a place over years and years. For example, our experience of rainfall is from day to day. Add up each day and you have a yearly total rainfall. That's weather, not climate. But along comes a year like 1993 that sticks in our memory as the year that wouldn't stop raining. And you can see by the chart that it does stick out. But that's still not climate. It's just one year in a 137-year record. Climate is the average rainfall over time. But over time, the climate averages, even in Iowa, are changing. And the trends indicate rising temperature, which in turn put more moisture into the atmosphere, so it rains and snows with more frequency and more intensity. And we see these changes occurring in Iowa's climate record, and these changes have consequences to people's lives.
So, how do we invite people to think about weather as a part of climate? We enable them to start with not just what they know, but also where they know it. We invite them to join the map at their local site.
To start, we decided to look at one event and see what kinds of publicly available information we had to work with. We chose the town of Percival in southwestern Iowa's Fremont County. It is situated along the Missouri River and was deeply affected by this summer's flooding. Here are some pieces of the narrative that piqued our interest.
Maps are ideal for capturing stories. They provide reference frames for place and time, so collections of stories can be related to each other, including many stories about a particular event or stories about a particular place. The 1875 Andreas Atlas of Iowa is the first comprehensive map collection of Iowa towns and counties and is itself full of stories about our distant past as a state.
When a PWM visitor clicks on any site, we want to offer them layers of history, geological history, and local human history. Up a Country Lane was a 20th century radio broadcast and weekly column in the Shenandoah Evening Sentinel newspaper created by Evelyn Birkby. Sometimes weather played a role in Birkby's record of Fremont County culture.
Evelyn Birkby's husband, Robert Birkby, worked for the USDA's Agricultural Stabilization and Conservation Service, which had its origins in the 1930s as part of Roosevelt's New Deal to help stabilize farm prices. On top of the low farm prices caused by the Great Depression, the ASCS also had to help farmers install soil conservation practices that mitigated the effects of the Dust Bowl drought. One of the innovations of the USDA effort in the 1930s was the use of aerial imagery to record the status of croplands. Here's 4 historic aerial photos showing the area around Percival and the Missouri River. It shows the changing course of the Missouri from a wild meandering river to the deep ditch of today. Most of the older photos were obtained from the University of Iowa Map Library. This year's USDA aerial photo was taken during the height of the Missouri flood. Percival is partially flooded and totally surrounded by floodwaters. These photos, which are available on the internet, make the perfect backdrop for connecting stories to places, towns, farms, and homes over time.
Robert Birkby was a familiar character to readers of Up a Country Lane between 1959 and 2001. At his 1985 retirement as the Fremont County Agricultural Stabilization and Conservation Officer, he recalls 2 major floods in the area, 1952 and 1960. Thousands of bushels of stored corn were destroyed.
Mike Crecelius is the director of the Fremont County Emergency Management Department and is responsible for dealing with the flood in Percival and the other towns. His department has been using Facebook to communicate with citizens and other workers and agencies during the emergency and offers a wonderfully transparent archive of thoughts and actions during the flood fight.
Facebook is one means to begin populating PWM with the weather stories of people in place, any and all people, Our intention is to present the map in public venues, libraries, county conservation meetings, farm meetings, across the state. We want to train and entice people to post their stories on PWM themselves. Scott Lothrop's Facebook post provides PWM visitors details of residents' physical experience of the Missouri River bottom flood of 2011. Displacement, near homelessness, isolation, increased transportation costs. Note that this Facebook community is organized by the Fremont County Emergency Management Agency, that is Mike Crecelius. The county government in this dialogue is on the side of local flood victims. The federal government is more of a challenge. Irene Nelson asked the question on all Percival residents' minds. Any news from FEMA yet? Later in October, FEMA offered Percival residents status as federal disaster victims and therefore federal dollars. A PWM visitor might wonder why FEMA delayed, or how long FEMA dollars can last in the face of multiplying extreme weather events. As a former New Orleanian, my heart goes out to Patty Graber Eden, who confronts the decision of all extreme weather victims. Can we go back? Is it giving up to move out? If not here, where? Won't it just happen again? Some visitors to PWM may read Patty's dilemma as the fault of the Corps or the government. Others will see here a harbinger of climate change.
Two perspectives are highlighted in these slides, one from high above and one from on the ground. The map view locates us in space and time, but depth of understanding comes from the ground-level human face we can put on these events through citizen scholarship. The digital studio is helping us explore the use of mobile devices to augment the traditional methods of collecting this information.
So finally, the People's Weather Map will be an internet-based multimedia tool to connect people's weather stories to particular places and dates that over time will hopefully give the viewer an overall feeling for what is happening as changes in climate impact our lives.